Let's go. Welcome back to C3, that Thursday thing. I'm Mr. U, Shane, and Herb is in the house. Gentlemen, how's it going tonight? Y'all ready for this?
Man, now that Shane is here, it feels like the world has corrected itself. You know, the only thing that I think I might have over Shane, the one thing in my entire life. I got a Mr. U shirt, though. He's got
because you didn't have it on today.
I actually stuck into one of his closets and took this out of there, so don't tell him. But I'm upset a little bit that Shane looks better in Alabama stuff than I do. But man, you can't hate the player.
I don't know how y'all do it. I'm not at that play. I can't.
Shane is a superstar, man. I think people just need to realize.
I can't have all these teams in my closet. I don't know how to do that. Y'all got to teach me, man. How do y'all pull that off and endure the backlash that surely comes with it? And still hold your head up.
I have been an Alabama fan for a while, so backlash comes like naturally. You know, random stuff happens, and people hate on Alabama fans like randomly. You know, so hey, I'm used to backlash. Nothing about
but you ain't creating it though. In this situation, you're gonna create it by actually going out there and buying Auburn clothes and having it in your closet. You asking for this. This different. How are y'all doing that?
Not me. I just have Mr. U clothing on.
I'm talking about the other stuff that we can't see on camera. All these other teams, and Shane clearly does the same thing. He has it too. I'm like, how are y'all pulling it off? How are y'all going to?
We do what we have to do for our content on our channels, man. That's
copy that. Okay. Well,
Mr. U, you don't have family that buys you stuff?
Do I have family that buys you stuff? No.
I got family that supports Alabama.
They don't buy me sports stuff. I don't know what's wrong with them, but yeah, it's
every day.
I got family that buys me stuff, but sports stuff, yeah. My little sister's probably the exception. She's listening right now. She knows she gets me sports stuff, but yeah. Besides that, no. So I ain't got it like that, but totally understand that. Lady Alpha's in the house. Good evening to you, ma'am. So glad to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, Lady
your comments and your suggestions on this topic. Well, as you guys know, if you've been watching us, we've been having a bit of a series on the diversity in the NFL specifically. Some other sports have been mentioned, but essentially it's the NFL and the Rooney Rule and whether it's working or not, whether it's effective or not. We decided tonight, after hearing some of the comments we heard from you guys on our social media platforms, we're going to try to find a solution tonight. I scrounged in articles. I dug as deep as I can go. Shane and Herb have some ideas too. And all you guys that are listening will probably have some better ideas than all of ours. We need to hear it tonight. This is the last night of this series, the last installment of this series. Not the end of the conversation, but the last installment for this series tonight. And we need some answers. So I'm going to go ahead and set us up real quick and then let everybody get into it. But we kind of established that many say that the Rooney Rule is not really effective because management already knows who they're going to hire. Some people say there's no rules that are binding, I guess. There's no accountability. So that makes the system patently unfair. We discussed that part, so that's not really anything new. Some people have, and I think I mentioned it somewhere way back, probably one of our older shows, that this might be more of a societal question than it is just an NFL question. I think this is happening in other places. Coming from corporate America, and I wouldn't run back there if it was the last job on the planet Earth. I've seen that so many times. People getting passed over, having everything on the resume that you want, but they get passed over because the interviewer and the interviewee just kind of vibe with each other. They connect. Oh, we're from the same place in Evansville. Oh, you know what I'm saying? And before you know it, the person had the job and you don't even know how it happened. You're overqualified or you're more qualified than that person and you don't get the job. So it's not really an NFL thing only. I got some stats here. In the NBA, 70% of the players are black, and their coaches are probably about represent about 37% of the team of the league. 11 out of 30 teams. Major League Baseball, almost the same kind of thing. 3 out of the 30 teams have a black manager. In the NHL, they got 30 teams in NHL in hockey. Got one black coach. He was fired in 1999. So I guess that means they don't have any now. So this is not just the NFL, but we kind of see it the most because we spend so much time in the NFL. We're trying to figure out what's actually going on here. Honestly, the only thing I seen that was, I guess, encouraging was what happened with the Washington Commanders. What they did was they got private equity involved. They got some funding, and what they did was they did what Magic Johnson's been doing for years now. It's not really a new thing. He's been going into communities that most people say can't produce money. They can't produce interest in certain products, and he went to places like South Central and built movie theaters, businesses, salad shops, things that people said that it would never work in these kind of communities because of the folks that live there and their income and stuff. So he went there and did that many times. So it's not really a new thing, but him being a part of this group with the Commanders, I think that was significant. And what it's doing now is opening up. If you look at their staff, you see that it's kind of opening some things up as far as diversity goes, and they're really addressing it and really being thoughtful about it and intentional. It's kind of sad that it has to be like that, but I think this was going on so far. But overall thoughts, because I want to get to a very uncomfortable topic for me in regards to this, regarding my Giants. But overall thoughts about your ability to find a solution. How did that go? How was that searched? Trying to find that. What that
like? I'm going to put up the comment that kind of goes along with what I was talking to you before we got on air. To me, the biggest solution is a lot of the older owners need to phase out, and you're going to have to get some younger ones in there. So, like, I know she might be thinking, hey, I'm kind of joking by this, but it's also kind of right, and kind of goes with like what you're saying with Magic Johnson. They're going to need the ownership group to change and to get a little younger and to embrace new ideas as far as coaching goes, you know? And I did want to, you brought up the other stats. Like, it's funny we do talk about this in the NFL. I've really never really thought about this with the NBA because I feel like NBA coaches do get more of a fair shake as far as what goes on. And we talk about the retreads in NFL. You got a guy like Doc Rivers in the NBA who seems to fail all the time with the most talented. He still gets jobs. So it's like
it's not Blake's fault.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like in an NBA, I definitely think there's more for sure and a better shot. But NFL wise, I hate to give this answer, but I absolutely feel it's like the ownership groups have to phase out and get younger, and then they'll give everyone else a chance versus, you know, hanging on to the 70 and 80-year coaches. You know, I don't get that part.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the NBA real quick because obviously you got 5 guys that are starting. They got a 11, 12-man roster, but they got 5 guys starting basically. So anybody that's a standout for any matter of years, it feels like they might get more of a shot. I think I kind of can see it. It's different than, you know, 11 guys on offense and 11 guys on defense. It's a little bit different than that. So I kind of can see why somebody who Doc Rivers, I guess, is not the best example I can come up with, but somebody who has excelled at playing offense and defense in the NBA, they might get a better shot at a head coaching job. And I think it makes sense. The NFL, they got to do a little bit more work, it seems like.
Bro, when they say like apples and oranges, this is like, you know, apples and like books or something. To me in the NBA, most of your work is probably done before the game. But once you get in the game, if you have the best player on the court and they get to play offense and defense, and it's 1 of 5, you can win. I mean, look, LeBron James got to the finals with his second best player being Boobie Gibson. And most people are like, who? So it's like, if you have the best player on the court in basketball, you can get by with subpar coaching. I just don't feel like it's the grind. Like the head coach in the NFL, your offense has the ball, right? You're trying to coach your offense. You're trying to coach your defense. You actually have to call plays every single play to try to match something, right? You can have Patrick Mahomes and like put them on the Titans, and you're not winning the Super Bowl. But if you have the best player in basketball, you can drag your team to the playoffs. There's a chance of making the finals without, Jerry Stackhouse famously said like coaches is overrating in NBA. I fully believe that. So I think it's way more, it's way harder in NFL. I feel like I'm talking too much. Like my boy Shane hasn't had a chance to chime in.
Go ahead, Are you good, man? I like that. Go ahead, Shane, jump in.
No, to start off, I agree with Herb with the changing of the guards. The thing in the NFL is the biggest problem I see beyond just the Rooney Rule is I don't know how many owners really want to win. Owning an NFL team basically gives you a license to print money. Yeah. And most of these owners are okay with being bottom of the barrel. They're not really trying to win. Now, if you're not trying to win and you just want to make the decision easiest for you, then you don't go looking for the best candidate. You pick the candidate that's going to get you the less backlash.
Yes.
So you retread, you pick people who look like the other coaches you've already had, and you make those decisions.
Yeah.
Now, like you're talking about with Magic and the group in Washington, I don't think this group would be as forward-thinking as they are if the prior owner was not an absolute dumpster fire of PR, humanity, and a numerous other occasions. I think that made it for Washington that they could say we have to change. Like what we can't do is exactly what was done before. So it opens up the room for them. But when you look at the coaching hires at Washington, you took 2 retreads. So how did the Rooney Rule play out for a minority African-American owner in this set? That's the big thing, like we mentioned when we first opened up about this conversation, is oftentimes when you let the group that has perpetrated the issue for this many years be in charge of finding the solution, a solution will never be found.
Right.
The NFL engaged the Rooney Rule to get people to stop asking them about why aren't there more African-American coaches? Why isn't there more diversity in the NFL? And the NFL came up with the Rooney Rule and slapped Rooney's name on it in the hopes that this will make the problem go away, and it never has.
Yeah. What it did was take it out of the hands of the NFL. They're like, oh, it's not our fault, it's the owner's fault.
Exactly. The NFL gets to go, we created this rule, now it's on the owners.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the commissioner is an employee of the owners.
Right.
So it's he knows that we can keep recycling this issue. But you look at, there's even diversity. There's a lot more diversity in the ownership groups than there were in the years past. But they're still going to pick their buddies. You still pick the guy that's going to give you the good press conference. And he's going to look like every other coach that you hired.
Yep.
When we're talking about teams, you look at Kraft. Kraft decided he didn't want to deal with the Belichick saga level of aura that he had, and he said, I can pick anybody. I can pick anybody and have them be my head coach, and we're going to be okay. And he picked Gerard Mayo, and he set him out to dry.
Yep.
He gave him less than a year to make a change.
Nice way to put it.
He went right back to Vrabel because Vrabel looks the way he wants him to do. Vrabel's going to go for the Patriot way, and when push comes to shove, Vrabel's going to be the same guy as he always is. I think Vrabel was a great pick, but Kraft has shown exactly why this rule doesn't help anybody. You gave him a 1-year opportunity. That's not a chance to be a coach in the NFL.
No.
You can't turn any team around in a year. No. I don't care how great you are. You think Jim Harbaugh, both you and I, huge Harbaugh guys. He helped the Chargers. They didn't go from last to first place though. And that's a guy that had already coached in the NFL. You took Jared Mayo from being a positional coach and then gave him the leadership of the team. And where I think he failed most was as a CEO, not as a positional coach, not as getting the defense or the offense. He just was not prepared to have to answer every question that comes that way as a team. Like, being an NFL coach is 90% CEO now.
Yeah.
It's your ability to manage the people underneath you and get the results.
Yeah. And now you got there's 11 teams in the league. And you know what? I think part of this is bugging me because I don't like change for change's sake. I want to try to do something so we can say, you know what? Okay, I did it. I'm saying, but they had 11 clubs that have never hired a black coach, and my favorite team happened to be one of them. Not super thrilled with that. But at the same time, I want them to go out and try to find somebody who, quote unquote, fits the profile. So you can say, you know what? We're not racist as an organization. Look who we hired. I don't want that either. So it's messy, but we promise we'll try to get into some solutions. I dug some stuff out. I'm gonna just throw it out there, rapid fire. We can kind of just break it down, pick it off. Go ahead, snipers out there, all the snipers, go ahead and shoot it down. It's fine by me, but I want to at least have some ideas because some of the stuff that I'm hearing, I'm not super thrilled about. But I'm gonna share what I like and what I don't like that I heard so far. Somebody mentioned about having a authentic, open hiring process. Basically, what that means that every interview is going to be monitored. I'm not really against that idea. You know what happens when somebody's on camera? They kind of tighten up their tie a little bit and make sure that they are on their best behavior.
Right.
So there's that part of it. Understand that could factor into this. And then have an idea for a committee to evaluate every interview, almost like on a grading system. So that means like if you don't have more than 80%, you don't have 80% or more, you fail. And if you fail, that supposed hiring team has to give up a 1 or a 2, or a 1 and a 2, along with $250,000. I'm like, is that the answer?
That's
making them pay. I mean, okay, it might solve some things, but again, change for change's sake. You know what? Yeah. If a team says, you know what, I know, like, okay, I'm trying to think of a team who did that recently. Let's use the Patriots since it's fresh on our minds. If Kraft, under this rule, if Kraft doesn't have a 80% interview evaluation or higher, he has to give up a 1 and a 2 and be charged $250,000. Do you really want to force owners into hiring?
Yeah, no.
A diverse coach? That's kind of what you're doing. It's not much different than the Rooney Rule itself. So this idea is like, it's just Rooney Rule Part B. It's kind of the same thing. You're making them pay. Now we're talking about money now. So you think, oh, because owners have money, we can hurt them in their wallets by guilting them into high. That can't be the answer. I like the monitoring idea. I think that's pretty cool. The committee to evaluate. Not sure about that. Give up a 1 or a 2 is going to make everybody high. The whole league can be full of black coaches. It's like, okay, so did we solve the problem, or we just waiting for 3 years?
On the committee.
Yeah.
Huh?
Who's on that committee?
Yeah, that was my first question. Honestly,
14 white owners.
Yeah.
You know,
let me just say this: if any Jets fan is on the committee for the Giants thing, you're failing. before the thing, you know what? They failed. They haven't even done the interview yet. Yeah, failed.
Yeah.
Ate it up. You know what I mean? And anytime you introduce a committee into there, you stretch out. You know, how long does it take 3 people to make a decision? 6 people to make a decision? You know, your committee is 9, 12, whatever. It's just going to drag the process out. And at the end of the day, it's an arbitrary, you know, there is no, half the crew might think, oh, that was a great interview. The other half might have been like, oh, they just totally skirted the whole thing. So I like the idea. I will say this. I do like the idea.
Which one? The monitoring or the committee?
No, I like the fact that they came up with it. Monitoring is probably a much better thing. Somebody actually watching to make sure.
That one. Yeah. That'd be somebody totally independent.
Right.
It has to be. No way owners could be involved in that part.
Yeah. That one I could see being more feasible than the other. But I think Shane was already getting at what I'm saying. Like the committee one, yeah, I don't see that one flying. You know,
owners not gonna be doing that either, though. Come on, you know, owners can't be in the committee because that would be can't even be in the committee.
No, the first thing the owners do would stack the committee. They'd be like, "Wow, there was, 12 Raiders fans on the committee for the Raiders. They were over there drinking and eating and wings, and they loved the interview."
A lot of the other ideas.
I think Shane had something. I think I could.
Yes, Shane, real quick.
All I was going to say is, like you're saying with the committee, like, so how do you prove that you're the right selection for that committee? Like, you're going to have people that interviewed other people well. They've successfully hired people. I mean, you look at the owners and the businesses that they run that got them to the point to where they got enough money to run an NFL team. There's some pretty shady business practices and hiring techniques that have gone through the woodwork on that. So, I mean,
I think
you're going to have that committee tell me that was a great interview. I mean, like Herb said, I mean, anytime you get, a quorum in there, you're dealing with different opinions on how things go. Like, all three of us could interview the same person. We go, hey, I really bonded with that. I thought that answer was great. We could agree on the answer and still think that's not the best choice for the position.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So the other idea is they all feel like they basically strong arming the owners. I don't really care for a lot of them. Some of them are about if you hire people or interview more diverse employees, you can get some more comp picks, some scholarships. I'm like, come on, that's not going to work. Paying a team to keep a minority coach for 3 years is not. That's not.
Oh no,
we're not solving the problem. These guys are already uber wealthy. I mean, they have more money than most people. You're going to pay them to do something that they probably should have been doing just out of a moral standard. Yeah. Please stop. Yeah. So by analytics,
to that exact point, I would hate if the Pats kept Mayo wanting, Vrabel the entire time and just like had to string him along for 2 years thinking the next thing you know, Vrabel shows up on staff as a consultant or you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you hate? I would, all things considered, I'd much rather they did what they did, fire Mayo and say we're going to hire the guy we actually wanted all along. It's just unfortunate the way the whole thing plays out. But
they wanted Vrabel from
exactly. We talked about they did.
Matter of fact, there was rumors about this in 2022. Yeah. He was still on the Titans then, and people felt like, you know what? As soon as he gets cut loose, they said the Titans are not doing good. In eventuality. So when Mayo got that, said, "Man, this boy's a lame duck," and I don't know if he even knows it. Because as soon as Vrabel gets free and he becomes available, that's a wrap, and it's exactly what happened. Yeah. The ideas, man, they're not the analysts idea. Analytics, like, what are you going to track? Where the candidates come from? What are you going to? I hate that idea too. It doesn't make much sense to me. Expand the talent pool is an idea that may have a little bit of merit because now instead of the 3 or 4 that they're actually interviewing now, you bring it to 10. The process doesn't. It goes a little longer, which is probably a good thing, and then you have a more percentages to look at. If you have 6 candidates that are minority candidates in a group of 8, it's gonna kind of shed a light on the whole hiring idea. I think if you do the monitoring along with the expanding the talent pool, is it going to solve the problem? Perhaps not. But think about it like this: we're talking about how many years we're talking about that this has been going on. I'm losing track of how long this has been going on, but it's been going on longer than I've been alive, probably. Or close to it at least. So at least 5 decades this has been going on. You can't fix that in 10 minutes. You can't fix that in even 5 years. It's going to take a while to get there, but I like the monitoring of the interview idea along with expanding the talent pool. Put those 2 things together. I think we might have something that might actually work. What do you think about that? Are you guys feeling that one, or do you have a different idea?
On this one, I think that
love you, Raj.
As has happened offensively in the game, I think college is going to start to speed this process up. Lately, especially with HBCUs, they're giving former players more and more opportunities. Now, Coach Prime and Eddie George have been able to win at theirs, and then they've gotten greater opportunities off of that. Eddie George has done a great job with Tennessee State. Coach Prime now is at Colorado in the top level. I think that giving more opportunities and seeing how that works out and having different players get those chances will help increase the talent pool. Yeah. The thing is, like I said, in the NFL, You have to be a CEO now. You can't just make all your bread and butter on being an offensive genius or you're a great defensive coordinator. That's why, like, I didn't think Prime would be great in Dallas because I think Dallas is just always going to be a mess. But he has done a great job of being the leader of his program. He doesn't call the offensive plays, he doesn't call the defensive plays, and he sure as hell doesn't recruit. But he makes sure that everything goes the way he wants it to go.
Right.
And he's been able to change the culture of those teams that he's taken over. Now, is that going to manifest itself in the NFL? I don't think so because there's still too many people to answer for.
It's different.
And I think that's a big difference when the college game and the NFL game. And that's what makes it hard for you to be able to say, as the talent pool increases, is that just going to help this problem eradicate on its own?
Yeah. Can I also say too, part of what is his first point, as the other part of this is you've got to get more black men interested in coaching. And let's just be honest, when you get to certain levels, you have like more black guys who are like thinking their career is going to be forever. And you just have more white guys who are like, I dream of being a coach one day. And you've kind of got to bridge that gap at an earlier level to where you have more black guys realize, look, my career is not going to last forever, but I could teach other people this. And you don't have enough guys. It's like, think about the guys that we're mentioning right now who are African-American and getting into coaching. They're all former players who were really high-profile guys and getting into it. Where are the other guys who were like, hey, I only played in high school and my career stopped there and I decided to be a coach? You know what I mean? You have to get that. And that's something that's not the NFL's problem. That's not the college problem. That's a cultural problem. We have to get more of these guys saying like, yeah, I got a buddy right now that I work with who I've talked to about it. Like he used to play the game. He stopped playing at the high school level, 1 year college level. And I was like, you know the game. You would be a perfect coach. Nowhere in his mind to even do it. Those are the kind of guys that you have to say, like, look, it doesn't have to be the Deons, and the Michael Vicks of the world. You got to get the normal guys who you're like, yeah, he played 4 years in high school, stopped there, became an assistant, so, a manager somewhere and worked his way up. That's where it really has to start. We have to start teaching guys, just because you can't play anymore doesn't mean you can't be involved in the game anymore. I think that's where we kind of lose the disconnect. So
yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't know how you learn to become a CEO, man, without time.
I think that point was perfect. Yeah.
Without time in the game. I don't know how you learn that, man. You definitely not learn that in college. There's not the CEO job is taken in college. Put it like that. You have no shot of doing that in anything more than an apprentice CEO in college. But in the NFL, it's going to take time, to do that. I think the guys that we think do that well, find one that didn't have enough time to do so. I challenge you to find. I think guys like a John Harbaugh, they had time to do that. They had time to go and develop into that area, and now they can do it easily. Now they're not only doing recruiting, but they're doing personnel stuff. They're managing stuff across the board. He had time to do that. There's some guys on the other side of the spectrum like Gerard Mayo, that we want him to do it, and he had no opportunity. He didn't have enough time to do it. 1 year, 2 years isn't enough to learn the kind of skill that you were talking about, Shane. But
yeah, jump on what Herb said. A perfect example is somebody like Aaron Glenn. He was out of football. He had a bunch of successful restaurants, but that drive to be successful in business was not as powerful as the drive to be successful in football.
Right.
And he took a scout position, exactly like you're saying to you. These guys that start at the bottom and learn a little bit about every aspect of the NFL world and then become a head coach, and then they remember what it was like going to pick up the free agent when you were the guy that was driving the bus to go get that guy. They remember what it's like to be the Turk who had to tell the third-round guy that he doesn't have a hope in the NFL anymore. Those guys get the chances to make some of those decisions and see how that world is. When you elevate somebody into that coaching position and they've never had an opportunity to see some of those underlings and how that operates, I don't know how you can be prepared for that position. And I think that 9 times out of 10, That's why head coaches fail, because they get away from what they were great at, and they stop searching for people that can answer the questions that they don't know the answer to. Right. You think you become a head coach and you know the answers? The coaches that have been great are the ones that don't. Like Saban in college, and even as a defensive coordinator,
that's funny.
When he was with Belichick, he knew he didn't have all the answers. So what do? You go steal from somebody who's better than you.
Yep.
And then you bring them on. Like Saban hired every coach that ever got fired, and he would have them be an analyst. And all he would do is have them go over and go, what would you do in this situation? What do you think is important? Where would you change this? And then so he just built this library of people that could answer questions for him that either he didn't care enough about to answer, or he knew that he was never going to come to that solution. And you need to be an open-minded person to be able to be the CEO of these NFL teams.
Agreed.
And I think the guys that come in and think they have the answers, those are the ones that are out in 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Any other closing thoughts on this? We're going to go ahead and move on to NFL news and notes. We'll be ready to move on. You got some other thoughts on this?
No. Just thank you to the people who did come up with solutions, because they were ahead of me.
Yeah,
so even if I disagreed with them, your solution was still better than anything I was coming up with. So I appreciate it.
Don't know how we solve this situation. Good to see you, big man. Big Mike's Running Wrestling Podcast. Man, they got an awesome wrestling show. If you're into pro wrestling, I know I am, man. Fantastic show. He said the best leaders in any arena don't have to know everything. They need to know and identify the people that know those things. Staff your weaknesses. Yeah, I totally can get there. If you want to, Herb, you can start off with Kelsey, and I'm going to drop some news and notes after that, a few things. But what'd you hear about Kelsey?
Basically, just he said he was coming back for next year. Said he's got unfinished business. And so it's my immediate thought was, are you going to be more focused than last year? What does that mean for the team? Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think his focus will be different. But I see him. You see the way Kansas City is constructed, and with the defense playing well, and with Mahomes, do they need him in the regular season to be great to get into the playoffs and make a run? No. They could use him being great in the playoffs, but that's a Kansas City thing. I think no matter what you think of Kelsey, he earned the right to leave on his own terms. So I feel like there's people in Kansas City that wish he would have gone ahead and retired, but he says he's here. Now, I mean, physically, he's not going to be better next year, right? So it's still going to be probably a step slow is what I would think. But to his credit, he said he's ready to go. So, I mean, you got to take him at his word, and Kansas City just has to roll with it.
I mean, it was 2 minutes ago. He was talking about how deeply depressed he was. He's ready to go. I feel like we're dealing with a lot of emotional highs and lows.
Definitely.
And in this situation, I'm not blaming anybody for it. You can speculate whatever you want. All I'm saying is with this particular player, I'm seeing a lot of emotional highs and lows. I seen talked about it 3 weeks ago or so. Some of his play on the field, things he was doing that the cameras caught, but nobody talked about. I'm like, wow, that's some old Bush League stuff right there that you're doing. So he's got a lot of highs and lows. And just 2 days ago, I just read it 2 days ago, you were depressed, deeply depressed, because you didn't win, and thinking about reevaluating things, and then you and your girl going on a vacation. I'm like, it's a lot of stuff going on here. So I'm like, I don't know if he's even thinking about the legacy part that we talk about a lot of the time with players, and we do it all the time. I don't think we can help ourselves at this point. We talk about player legacy every time we get a chance. I don't care what sport we're talking about. Right now, people talk about he's the best. The numbers show me differently. Right now, I see him as the third best, and he's not close to Tony Gonzalez or Gronk yet, numbers-wise, stats-wise. I'm not talking about amount of Super Bowls. I'm just talking about as far as the raw numbers. If he cares about that kind of stuff, then he needs to come back and have a renewed effort, a renewed emphasis on not only just winning, but being the best, if that's what you're shooting for. Some of his comments post-Super Bowl sound like, you know what? I don't need to do this that much. It's not that big of a deal. I don't really care about stats, was his exact quote. I'm like, He doesn't care about stats. So these numbers here that could potentially put you in the number one tight end after another year or so, you don't care about that. So what do you care about if you don't care about stats? If you care about winning, then get out there and win. The stats will take care of themselves. So I don't know where his head's at. What I'm hearing doesn't sound great. But Shane, what do you think about Kelce overall and the comments that Herb shared?
Well, first, I would say I agree with you. And I said on this podcast before, he's not even the best Chiefs tight end of all time. I think he even knows that. I think the one thing I'll give Kelce respect for is that he knows the guys that came before him that are better than he is. And he oftentimes says, Tony is better, Gronk is better. He shouts out guys that are younger than him in the NFL right now and gives them credit. The one thing out of this whole situation, I hope, is that this clip right here of you and Herb talking about Kelce makes it on the Amazon Prime reality show that I'm sure is being recorded right now for
Absolutely.
his play.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I thought the second I heard this on their podcast. Like, I've got some unfinished business. Oh, that sounds like a great title for a documentary because your brother had unfinished business and he played one more year. And I think that's what Kelce's trying to get out. He's going to get one more year. I think he retires at the end of this. As Herb said, I don't think he needs to be special to help Kansas City. I also don't think he's the weakest element in their offensive game plan right now.
Right.
But I don't think he gets better. Like, the things that were tough for him is he doesn't have the same breakaway he had before. He's got some lingering injuries. None of those are going to get better by coming back for another year. That's not going to help him in any way that I see. So
he's not going to get faster all of a sudden next year.
Exactly. I think he'll have a good year because I think being a good player is important to him. I don't think it's the most important thing to him anymore. I think he's got a lot going on in his world that has taken away from him. And if he tells you that he's putting in the same amount of work as he did before, he's lying to himself and everybody else.
He's in a position where he can make just as much, if not more money off the field than on. So you're like, let me get this straight. I can go out here and be in air conditioning, situations and make money, or I can have a guy trying to beat me up for 3 hours and the money's the same. And you throw in practices. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think I'm good.
Then sweetheart time. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
scales are weighing in a whole different direction. Yeah. But I totally get that. If you guys are good with Kelce, let's keep on moving. Myles Garrett. This is funny to me because, and I have a question about the next two news notes. This guy accomplished a triple crown.
Right.
92.8 pass rush grade, 23% win rate, total pressures. These are metrics that PFF use mostly, but he hit the triple crown. Of course, the trade from Cleveland for obvious reasons. They didn't seem to have any idea how to handle or resolve the quarterback issue. Like I said, there's videos out here with jerseys with the quarterback's names on them, covering the entire back of the jersey. They haven't been able to figure this thing out. Andrew Berry, the GM, says he has no intention of honoring his requests. Saw today that he said he's not only demanding the trade, but he's closing the door on all communications. His agent is not talking to the Browns at all. Done. I'm like, whoa. His goal was to always compete and win for a Super Bowl, and now he's sitting here, age 32. He's a undrafted free agent. Undrafted. He's a free agent in 2027, and I think the cap hits about 38 million or so. So yeah, I would say so. First of all, I do want to go there, but before that, what should Garrett feel in this scenario? How should he respond? Me, I feel like, you know what? You're not doing anything, but you want me to stay in the same prison that you're in, like Stockholm syndrome or something. You're gonna kidnap me, then now you want me to be.
The difference is there's no Stockholm syndrome because he's not liking his captors like at all. They're not bonding. He's done with it.
The GM has Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. I feel for him though, because everything he's saying is right. Like it's one of those things about football. I can be the best at my position or arguably the best in my position, right? we're not gonna say what less than top 3, top 5, right?
He's up there, yeah.
Clearly, right? And have zero ability to affect where our season is going every year. And then look at an organization that's like, do you honestly think it's getting better in the next 2 years that he's there? No, he's going to waste the next 2 years of this contract easily because they can't solve certain things. And one of the things they're trying to solve, they've got a $230 million problem that's never, that's not coming back to the field anyway. And when he did make the field, it was terrible. So there's something that he cannot change at all about what's going on. I absolutely don't blame him for wanting out. And I've seen Browns fans, they're like, yeah, I get it. I mean, a lot of times when your star player demands a trade, people turn on them, right? Not Browns fans. They're like, bro, we want out too. Like, I just happen to still live in Cleveland, so I'm going to support the team. But I feel for him, Imagine being the best at what you do and having zero hope going into every year. You know what I mean? It's like pick whatever quarterback you want. Put Patrick Mahomes on that team next year. Put Lamar on that team next year. Like, do you think it's all of a sudden Super Bowl? No. It'll get better than what it is, but they've just neglected that side for so long that it's just an albatross on them. And because of Deshaun Watson, you can't do enough other stuff to fix anything else that you need. So you better hope your quarterback. Say what?
Think you sit out for 2 years?
He can't sit out for 2 years. I gotta say he's got to go play, but it's not getting better in 2 years. No. They're in the situation. The Browns are in a situation right now. If Deshaun got healthy and came back next year and went to like Denver, I'd expect him to play great just because he left Cleveland. Like that's the kind of situation that Cleveland's in. They got rid of Baker, and now Baker had there was MVP talk about Baker in the middle of the year last year. You know what I mean? It's like getting out of the gravity of Cleveland makes you better.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shano. What you got?
Well, I think just to wrap up like what Herb said, you look at Myles Garrett, and I think he falls under, and this is a Detroit Lions problem, but he's a Barry Sanders Megatron, where you've been the best player at your position. You've always tried. They've never questioned your effort, but you're stuck. Yes. So you either make a decision where you go, look, I'm just going to quit. I'll stop playing in the NFL. I've made my money. I'm happy. Or you request a trade. And Myles Garrett, I mean, number one, he is like one of the top 10 first guy off the bus picks. I mean, he looks like he was genetically engineered to be the best defensive player in the league. Like, what he can do and what he's done for that Browns team is impressive to say the least.
Yes.
But like Herb said, they've done it to Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas was the best left tackle for many years, and he had to block for quarterbacks that didn't deserve to be in the NFL. And he did that for
Joe should have played quarterback at that point.
Yeah. Like, Joe knew enough not to show up to the draft and go fishing because this is going to be my career. I'm not going to make it to the playoffs. I'm just going to get pummeled for 10 years and play my best. And that's exactly what Myles Garrett's doing. Yeah. He's led the league in sacks. If you ask offensive tackles who they don't want to go against, his name comes up every single time. Christian Wirtz was talking about DNs he doesn't like playing against. The first guy he mentioned was Myles Garrett because he's like, what do you do? He's the same height as I am. He's light years faster than me, and he's stronger than I am. Where do you try to play him? And he's stuck with Cleveland. And up until this year, he kept his mouth shut. He didn't say, hey, I'd really like some help. It'd be great if you did something to help us. Maybe we can get this quarterback situation figured out. Kept his mouth shut the whole time. Yeah. And then it gets to the end of the season, and it's the same thing again. We don't make the playoffs. We don't have an answer at quarterback. We're going back into the draft to try to figure something out. And he goes, I'm sick of it.
Yeah. I can't blame him at all.
No, I don't believe you.
Well, if you're Cleveland, he's a great trade piece. I mean, if you're going to get top dollar for somebody, he's one of the guys you're going to get top dollar for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Hopefully Barry is smart enough to put his, personal feelings aside and his ego and go ahead and get that because Cleveland is all the help they can get. I haven't been in a mock draft yet, but I know that they're going to be at least needing 8 different positions, at least on their team. So yeah, you better go ahead and let them help you. That makes sense to me. All right. So the Bills went ahead and extended wide receiver Khalil Shakir. I thought that was pretty interesting. 4 years, $60+ million. Great hands, doesn't drop passes, reliable. Josh Allen loves him for that very reason. Always finds the open space. He's in the defense. He's really smart. Yards after the catch. He doesn't have huge touchdown numbers, but blue collar dude, lunch pail worker, whatever you want to call him. He runs routes. He catches passes, man. So right now, he looks to be the number 1 wide receiver. Mac Hollins and Amari Cooper are both free agents. Doubt very highly either one of them are coming back. But Shakir had 76 receptions for 821 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I guess he's the number 1 guy now. Do you think that Shakir should be number 1 guy, or should Buffalo keep on looking?
Keep looking. I feel like steady, but not. He doesn't jump off the page as the number 1. I feel like it's just been good at Buffalo, but I would still be looking for somebody to elevate them for sure.
That, or I think they believe Keon Coleman is going to get another year to try to be the number 1. I wasn't a big fan of his out of the draft, but when you look at Buffalo's offense, it's all about the triangle pass patterns. They use 2 tight ends and they use Shakir, and they all flood into zones, and then it's who's ever the underneath man is the one that's getting the ball. They don't go for the wide receivers as much as they do. Josh Allen, I think he likes Shakir. I think he's a good player. But like Kurt said, if you're going to be the number 1 wide receiver, you have to be something. And I don't even think, like, you let Diggs go. I think Shakir does a similar thing, not at the same level as what Diggs did. So, what did you do? You traded one for another, and you got a little bit younger, but did you get better as a team?
Yeah.
It
feels like their strategy, instead of having a number 1, is like pick up another wide receiver and have like 3 number 2s versus than having 1 number 1.
I think they hold on to Mac Hollins too.
Yeah.
You think that's going to help? What are you talking about?
I don't think it generally will, but I think Hollins has built a good following in Buffalo, and I think teammates enjoy having him. And I don't think he's going to play all that much longer. And I wouldn't be surprised if they give him another year to kind of be that slide in, help out guy while they try to find somebody else.
Copy that. More than likely, probably going to try to. I forgot what their money is, but I don't think it's great. So they're probably going to go through the draft for that. I doubt they're going through free agency. There's some guys out there that are available, like Amari Cooper and T. Higgins and some others, but I doubt they can be spending their money on that. Probably going to go through the draft. All right. So we had a couple of things that popped up. We're going to come back to the Will Campbell, but Abdul Carter, with some news on him, Herb, you want to go ahead and run through?
So it's been interesting because I've been looking through everything since I got here, and I guess it just depends on who you talk to, right? The first thing that popped up was Abdul Carter is going to need surgery, get a pin in his foot, blah, 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 right? Next article, Abdul Carter does not need surgery. He's going to be fine. He'll play through this, right? Third article, he's still getting opinions on if he's going to have surgery or not have surgery. Yeah, nobody has seen, like, his agent will tell you one thing. He might tell you another. The opinions, if you click 5 articles, you might get 3 different opinions easy on what he's going to do, right? The thing about it is, to me, whatever, if you decide to draft him, if you're not in love with 2 of the quarterbacks, right? And you decide to draft Carter, this honestly is not a huge red flag for me. Because if you think he's going to be as good as he's going to be, and you're foregoing the quarterback position for another year, it's not the worst thing in the world to decide you need to have him have surgery. Maybe he misses, beginning of the year, whatever the time frame may be, and your team is not great for another year, and you punt on the quarterback position for 1 more year. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Because last thing you need is him wrecking a couple games, if you think he's as great as you think he is, and you win 1 or 2 more games when he's out there healthier and he comes back. If you don't have the quarterback position solved, waiting another year is fine. So I don't. If you think Carter's the guy and you don't like the other two quarterbacks, I don't think this stops you from drafting him. And by all accounts, like, you know what Shane and I said last week, everything I have listened to, if you believe everyone else in the world, they think Shane and I are wrong and they think he's going to be a star. And when I say everybody, I've listened to random podcasts that had nothing to do with these teams. Other guys, they love Carter. So I would say, hey, this does not seem that. If you have an injury that's where, like, hey, we don't know if you need surgery or not, I'd almost opt for the surgery just because and then just miss the start. And I would still take him just to make sure this is cleaned up. And I would tell him, like, we're not worried about next year. Okay? Yeah. We're worried about the years afterwards. My feel on it.
Bro, this is what I don't even know where to go with. This is so many places I can go with this. I think one of the biggest strategies needs to be keep him away from Philly. That's what they need to be doing. This is exactly the kind of player, him and Mike Green from Marshall. They're exactly the same kind of players that got some little issues and whatnot, people talking about here and there, off-field stuff and injuries and that kind of stuff. And Philly will take them, and they'll be studs out there, and they'll be balling out of their minds, and Philly will be another juggernaut, a behemoth again next year. So don't let that part happen. That's number one. I want to ask you about his ankle. Does it matter if he's playing on grass or on turf with an injury like this, or is it's going to hurt when he plants regardless? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Nobody seems to care about all that. It's basically, are you taking him number one or not? Like I said, everything I read, if you looked at my tabs right now, there's like 7 tabs just to, just for him. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that part. They're either drafting him or you're not. No.
Go ahead, Shane.
Well, I mean, like Herb said, both he and I are in the not draft him mode. You know, I got a chance to watch him play a lot in the Big Ten. Is he good? Yes, there's no doubt about it. But I don't think he's as explosive, as strong, as many moves as Micah Parsons. I think Green, if you're looking for an undersized guy from Marshall, just like you mentioned, Yusuf, I think he shows you more pop and power. I think Abdul Carter can be great, but I think having another injury on top of it doesn't make him a first pick. I think just like Herb said, if I'm a team and I decide that Abdul Carter is the guy for me, I have him have surgery, and I go, this is going to be great for you, buddy. This gives you an excuse not to be dynamic this first year.
Right.
Because you had this surgery, it's going to take time to heal. So if he plays well, then you go, imagine what he's going to be when he's 100%.
Right.
And they can go to that, and if he doesn't play well, then you say, hey, he's been injured. Like, how can you expect him to play up to that level?
Yep.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't think he's a number one pick. Anywhere from 4 to 10, I jump up to make a move at him if I can get somebody to move with me. I think if the Patriots sit there, it's going to be if Vrabel decides he wants a defensive guy or not. And if not, then you drop back in the draft and make some picks. But the big thing that this shows me is that, and we've talked about this, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are not number one picks, and they're not top 3 quarterbacks. If you're thinking that an injured defensive end who's undersized is the guy that you're going to make the first pick.
Yeah. And you should listen to the talks out there, man. One of the Locked On NFL guys was like, has more tools than Micah Parsons, is what he said. So, like I said, the guys love him. I mean, all the analysts, all the guys, they love him. Go ahead, Shane. My bad.
I watched a second or third string Ohio State offensive lineman absolutely dominate him. If you're talking about how much you can turn it on and what you can do, I mean, Notre Dame wasn't afraid of him. You know, other teams, when they got the chance, were not afraid of him. Michigan ran the ball right at him. You know, like, you've got to, if you're going to be this big bad wolf, then you need to be ready when people come get you. And I thought that for as much as he got talked about this year, I don't think he had anywhere near as great of a year as he should have. I saw some times where he went more for the sack and could have made a great play if he had just made the right play. But he wanted to dance around people. He wanted to go to his speed, and then he wanted to show, I've got this move, I've got that move. You know, we talked about Myles Garrett. The thing about Myles Garrett is he can beat you anyway. So you just have to make a decision on how you're going to protect yourself. And I saw some okay offensive linemen in the Big Ten handle him for long enough.
Yeah. So putting you on the spot real quick, and then we move on to the Will Campbell conversation. So you guys at number one, both of you. You're not trading back. You're at number one, sitting, stand. You have to. You got to make a pick. Who you guys taking at number one?
And who's number one? The Titans?
Yes.
I
can't trade back.
I take a shot. I take a quarterback.
You don't trust Will? You don't trust Mr. Mayonnaise? You don't trust making another chance?
I trust him to be one of the most exciting players in the NFL every single game, but not necessarily for the right reasons. Hey, will he throw a touchdown to his player? Hey, will he be falling backwards and throw a pick six left-handed? You never know. I would absolutely buy a ticket to watch him play, but I have no idea what you're getting every year. So if you honestly said, hey, what are you have to pick, you cannot trade, because trading back is the most favorable to me in this situation. I probably take a quarterback, try to talk, or maybe Travis Hunter as my backup, but that's probably where I go.
Which quarterback, man?
You didn't wait. Hold on. I can't get into all these specifics. Look, it was hard enough for me to say, let me take a quarterback, man. The rest of it, I can't get it. I don't know, man. I think Shane has said it a million times. Like, I don't believe in either one of these two guys to be my number one overall pick. Look, they could have fine careers, right? I'm not rooting against either one. I don't have any hatred for either one of these two guys. I just don't, I see enough holes to where I'm like, number one overall, this is just not it to me. So
no, I think if you can't trade back and you're Tennessee, I think they take Cam Ward number one.
I can see that.
I think they say he's got a personality we're going to want. He's got arm strength. He's played in multiple different offenses. He should be able to pick our offense up. I think they're going to use that as a way to pick him. As Herb, as you mentioned, Yusuf, if it's me in this draft, I'm moving back. I'm going to throw out there about how great those top three guys are. I'm going to talk about Cam Ward, did great in his interview. Shedeur Sanders knows everything about the NFL, and I would be waiting for people to try to come up and make a move. Yeah. You're quarterback hungry and you want something, I would make it look as enticing as possible.
Yes.
And I think that this draft is one where, like, Travis Hunter is going to get picked early, and I don't think in another draft that he would have, because I don't think he's not quarterback number one. There's other defensive backs that I think play the position purely better than he does. And I think in the NFL, he's not going to do the dual sport package. So I think he gets a chance to move up because those quarterbacks are not going to be as great as people are talking about. And I think you can already see that spin zone coming right now at the combine, where those quarterbacks are trying everything they can to not show something that says why they shouldn't be the number one pick.
Right.
No, that's fair. That's fair. If it was me, I'd be trying to trade back too. There's some guys that are between 4 and 7.
Oh, I would easily. Yeah. The reason why I didn't say it's because you took that off of the table. If I had one of these top picks and I could get any package, I'm trading back in this draft. Easy.
Oh, yeah, I know. But
you wouldn't even have to offer me that much. Like, hey, here's
two
ticks and a king size Reese's. I'm like, ooh, king size Reese's? Okay.
I was sitting at 1. I wouldn't know what to do. I think I know what we would do if we were at 1, but me, I don't know what I would do. Because I love me some Will Johnson, but do I like him at 1?
Probably not.
I love me some Mason Graham, and I take him at 1.
Yeah.
I just
value too. No.
Yeah. So I get that. All right. So we were on another show Tuesday night. It was awesome. And we were talking. Well, the whole premise was that I was the GM for the Giants, and everybody on the panel was helping me to analyze basically my GMs, or to help me decide who to pick. And you agree with me that Will Campbell should have been our first pick based on how the draft landed. I forgot. I think what I still at 3 yet. We do a trade back. I was still at 3, and we picked Will Campbell. for obvious reasons. The tackle situation with Andrew Thomas is good. He's coming over injury. I mean, somebody at the tackle spot that can kind of help out there. So we got him. But one of our panel guys hit me up offline and said, I understand why Shane made that move. So I'm giving you a chance to defend your pick of Will Campbell from LSU. Why do you think he was the right pick? You use the Giants as the example, that's what it was. His move was it moved from left to right or right to left? I forgot how he moved, but he made a transition on the tackle spot. He can play both, I think, but he moved from right to left or left to right. I'm moving left to right now. I can't tell which one it is, but go ahead, man, and defend your point, and we'll jump into it a little bit.
Well, I think there are a couple of things on that podcast that Jesse brought up that, I would question. First of all, I don't think the Giants are secure at any offensive line position. I mean, based on the grading that I gave them, I thought that was one of their weakest positions overall. So when I match them up, do I think other people can play that spot? Yes. But you look at where your draft capital is. If you're not going to take a quarterback in the top 3 and you don't have another player that sticks out for you, Will Campbell would be a guy I would take a shot at. Now, the big thing that's going to come out this week is they're going to talk about arm length, because he has arms that are the length of a normal-sized human being. And for left tackle in the NFL, that's a deficient spot for you to be in. Here's a breakdown for Will Campbell. Starter from day one at LSU. Has given up 5 sacks in 2,533 snaps. When the top 3 defensive ends in the SEC were questioned, who is the worst tackle for you to have to play against, all mentioned Will Campbell. Will Campbell is the first player as an offensive lineman at LSU to be gifted the number 7, which is given to the best player from Louisiana at Louisiana State. The first offensive lineman ever. He's got great recovery, good speed. His problem is he doesn't have arm length, and he over punches to try to get around that. My point to Jesse is, and Jesse was talking about, I don't like moving left tackles to right tackle, because that's like going into the test that's most important for you and trying to take it in your second language. You become accustomed to doing everything on the left-hand side as a left tackle. If I look at Campbell and the way the NFL is now, I draft him at number 3, and I play him at guard on the Giants. I'd say I got a left tackle that can dominate. I got a left guard that can dominate. Let's secure one side of the offensive line and figure this out. I think you move him inside. I think he has the ability to be somebody like Zach Martin, who got moved from tackle at Notre Dame to play interior for the Dallas Cowboys and made more Pro Bowls than penalties called on him in his entire career. There's nothing that I watched on Will Campbell that tells me that he can't be a day 1 starter in the NFL. And if I'm a GM or I'm a scout, that's how I know how I pick a first 10 player. He needs to be a guy that is guaranteed to start on my team on day 1 and play. Will Campbell can do that. I can understand from Jesse wanted to go defense. I think the Giants have way more issues on that offensive line. And if you're going to take a quarterback and you don't protect him, you're going to be in the same boat you've been in this entire time. So I'd rather get an offensive lineman, even if I have to move him, and make that move. I trust Will Campbell. If the Giants don't take him, I would be extremely happy as a Patriots fan to take him at number 4, and he can play on the left-hand side, and he can block for Drake May. And I think the Patriots would love to rub that in the Giants' face.
Yeah. Well, we got some I'm going to get on that. We got some news coming up soon regarding Jess and I about some interesting thing coming up. So it won't be the first time that we're going to disagree. But to go defense at 3, it presents a challenge because, first off, I love me some Michigan. I won't let nobody talk bad about him in my presence. I love me some my Michigan Wolverines. But you got Graham out here at defensive tackle, and then you got Will Johnson, who I think is the best cornerback in this draft, in my opinion. Neither one of those guys, if we picked either one of them at 3, people would have us vilified. If we pick either one of them guys at 3, just like you said, positional value, so on and so forth. So if you're not taking a quarterback, I mean, honestly, what else could you do? The way that draft laid out, I didn't even have an option to take. I guess I could have took Will Johnson or Mason Graham, but the value didn't make sense to me at number 3. And if you didn't take the quarterback, which we didn't do, what options do I have? I could try to take McMillan, but I think that's too high for him. And he's dropping now for some other reasons that may take him down to 12 or 13 mid-first round. So the only option that was a sure thing, I said, you know what? This guy's a day one starter. We can take him right now and he can work. Is Will Campbell. Who else, because just argument was defense, who else on defense can I take here? I can't take Mikael Williams at number 3, up 9 spots from where he's probably going to be at, 9 or 10 spots. Will Campbell was, in my mind, a no-brainer. We had to do that. So in real life, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I'm sure he'll be there at 3, but is that what we're going to do? I don't know. I mean, the GMs are spend a lot of time talking quarterbacks and watching them practice and whatnot. So I don't know, but go ahead, Shane. What you got?
Well, I mean, the other thing is the GM and the head coach should already be gone. Like, if you're going to have to make this pick, what does making a safe pick do for you? You make a wrong decision, you're fired anyways. You make a great pick, and you can stand behind, like, I made a great move. You go defense when your team has been this terrible on offense. What does that show your fan base? Here we go again. You're going to pick, Kayvon Thibodeau for nothing and play him on a defensive line, but don't put him maximize his position. You have Dexter Lawrence. You have some defensive pieces. If you're an offensive coordinator and you think that you can solve these problems without an offensive line, you're absolutely out of your mind. And if you look at what happens in the NFC East, whose defense are you going to be better by picking a defensive player? Nobody. And if you don't get a better offensive line, Philadelphia is going to kill you again. Washington's going to kill you. Dallas is going to kill you. So you better figure it out.
Well, I can't speak for the Giants fan because I'm not bipolar, but I will say this though, that we got a lot of areas to cover. And one of the reasons why, I think I said this on this show with you guys, I think you guys agree with me. I'm not sure if you did or didn't. I think you did. But the only reason why I said that these guys have a chance to stay on for one more year, which is this year, this is the litmus test, I guess you could say, with Dave Ball and Shane, is because they never got a chance to pick their quarterback. What they did with Daniel Jones was almost kind of like that, but not exactly what you would want in a new regime. You want to go into the draft and have somebody you can actually develop, especially when you're Brian Daboll supposedly being good at developing quarterbacks. So this, in my mind, this is their shot to do that. Where they get the quarterback in the draft, honestly, is of no consequence to me. They can take Kyle McCord. I don't care. But whoever you get, this is your shot to develop them and make them a NFL quarterback and save your highs. Because if you don't do that, I don't care who you get on offense or defense, we're still gonna have the same quarterback questions we had this year, and you're gonna have the same backlash, maybe even a little bit more of a hotter seat if you don't do that. So they have to get a quarterback here and they have to develop them.
Well, who was the head coach and the GM when they signed the extension?
Daboll.
Exactly. So don't give me I didn't have a chance to pick my quarterback.
I didn't say. I'm talking about in the draft.
No. But that's what I'm saying. But that's a mute point, though. You okayed to have him sign on again to be your quarterback. That means that you decided he's going to be the piece that we did. If you're the head coach and the GM, and you don't think he's the one, you don't re-sign him.
Well, that's more. I think it's more of a GM thing. His body language said to me that he didn't really care for this situation. His body language looked like somebody who was just like, the boss wanted this. That's how I'm not making excuses for Daboll. I'm just saying that's how it looked. So I know a lot's going to be on Shane because I think he's the ringleader behind a lot of that stuff. But the marketing situation, it's all him. I don't think Daboll can take the blame for either one of those things. But your point is valid. We're here now, and we wasted time with Daniel Jones. 2022 was an anomaly, but here we are trying to figure stuff out and get a quarterback again. So at this point, I mean, what else can we do but at least go ahead and try to get a quarterback that you can theoretically develop? Can you develop a quarterback? Guess we'll find out. But what else can we do? We can't go and try to get these guys with no positional value with the third pick. If we can't trade back, which we should anyways, so we can get more picks. We got so many needs, so many depth issues that we got. Huh?
That's the problem. People draft quarterbacks and they think that you're going to become developed in the NFL. The NFL does a terrible job of developing people.
Yeah,
they don't develop them.
I agree.
I can't really argue that. I haven't seen anything that says these guys can develop a quarterback because I haven't seen it happen. So it's like I'm kind of just hoping here, like, can you please do it now so we're not sitting here for another 10 years? Go ahead, Herb.
Oh no, it's funny to listen to some of the stuff I say get a different reaction after a couple weeks, maybe after things calm down. So that's all I'm gonna say about the Giants part. That was very interesting to watch. So I gave a lot of those ideas, and I was treated a little more harshly than my boy Shade. So I appreciated him saying the exact same thing. So
I'm sitting here going through draft.
Good job.
I'm sitting here going through draft.
I appreciate you.
All right. This is great. The love fest is awesome. Send you guys flowers now. All right. So
I will say this.
Yeah.
Where they're drafting at, they might not have a choice of quarterbacks.
Oh.
So you're going to run into the same excuse if this person fails. Oh, we just drafted who was there because there was only 2 draftable guys and we got this one and he didn't work out. So it's not our fault. We didn't train this guy. So excuses are already built in to certain things.
Yeah, that can't work now, though.
It shouldn't work. It shouldn't work.
I said his name, and it's not because it was just a throwaway name. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at everything in the mirror of Daniel Jones. I mean, I go on other shows. The host of these shows make me do this. It's not what I want. They had me going back to Daniel Jones. I'm like, I had a news note about him that I can't even talk about this week because we ran out of time, so I'm going to do it next week. But they keep having me go back to Daniel Jones as they don't use Eli. They don't use Phil Simms. They use Daniel Jones as the measuring stick for quarterbacks. I'm like, I don't want to do that because that wasn't a good situation. Matter of fact, him getting picked at 6 out of Duke, I was against that thing from the beginning, from the start. Now, I don't mean not picking at 6. Don't pick him, period. I didn't see it. I get the whole Eli Cliff connection. I saw it. I get that. But I didn't see that in him. And it bared out to be truth. And he didn't, he was up to par. So now here we are trying to do this thing all over again. So when I mentioned Kyle McCord, I was dead serious. I'm actually good with that. If we're going to use Daniel Jones as a measuring stick and say, you know what, everybody we mentioned against Daniel Jones, I'll take Kyle McCord as fast as you can blink your eye. I get 2 guys that are quality first and second round, the best BPAs available, because we need anybody, so it doesn't really matter. And in the 3rd round, I'll take him, or the 4th round if he's around that long. I'll take Kyle McCord in a minute. I bet you he can throw the open receivers. I bet you he can do that. You mean that like his footwork or some other things, decision-making wise, but I bet you he can do that much. I didn't see that nearly at all in Daniel Jones. Jalen Hyatt was somebody, I don't even know what his story is, but there was time when Wan'Dale Robinson was wide open. Malik Neighbors wide open. Nothing. The ball would stay in his hand, he'd be crumpled to the ground like a little school child. I've seen the thing happen so many more times than I can count. So Lady hates Kyle McCord. I'm not trying to say this guy is the second coming of Dan Marino. All I'm saying is that in comparison, you can't tell me he's not better than Daniel Jones. That right there will have me and you with an offline conversation because I know you don't think that. So all I'm saying is that anybody that's a halfway decent quarterback is good in this situation. Based on where we are right now, I would take almost anybody that can actually play quarterback at an efficient level. You know what I'm saying? So this is just, honestly, man, to be real, doing these mock drafts, I'm digging into this stuff more than I have in a long time. I like it, but I'm seeing things I haven't seen before. I'm hearing different perspectives. It's just a lot going on. So I'm just I don't know what the Giants are supposed to do. I'm excited about this draft special. I don't know what I'm going to say out here. How I'm going to feel when that pick comes down. If we trade back, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm kind of just like, hey, get the best player you can, and we'll get a free agent quarterback or something. I don't know. We're looking at Stafford, and we in the mix, so to speak, whatever that means. So I don't know. What other kind of closing thoughts do you guys have? This was a great commentary, man. Great thoughts from you guys. What else you got on this, man? Any encouragement for your boy, man? You love me, right? What you got for me, man? Any encouragement for me, man? Anything to help me stay afloat out here in these mean streets? You got something for me, man?
Shane got you because he's on your good. Yeah, I get on your bad side too often, so I'm gonna try to be quiet.
No, I don't play for the Giants. I ain't taking it that personal. I'm just animated, man. I'm just telling you.
Shane and I managed to say the exact same thing twice, and the reactions were different. So,
man,
hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Shane,
what you got for your boy?
This is why you got the top spot, Shane. You the man. You just I sat here and watched it, and I was like, bro, I could have swore I said that a couple weeks ago. And I got my head bit off. So I was like, man, this is great. It's
on this show since the show been on the air. I ain't bite nobody's head off. I just asked
you ain't been watching your own show, then, Mr. You don't even watch your own show.
I watch every single one of these episodes. But it's all good, though. It's all good. But if you ain't got anybody's head off. I'm gonna keep on encouraging y'all, though. Even though I might not get no encouragement today, I'm gonna keep on encouraging y'all. I love y'all like that. I'm gonna keep doing that for y'all. Because that's where we at. We here. But this was good, man. We are done with the diversity series. I'm not sure where we go next, but we got a lot of time between now and the next NFL season. Oh my God. So we got a lot of time to fill. So we are going to get real creative, have some fun out here. I'm gonna tell you right now, man, I'm feeling like itch for some baseball, man. So we got to incorporate that into our combos, man. I'm missing it, man. I'm about to send the MLB a letter the other day. I can't watch those spring training games. Can't have me blocked out. I'm about to send them a strongly worded email. I was hot. Yeah, we're gonna talk some Major League Baseball on this podcast. We have to. I let Herb handle the NBA stuff, and we're just kind of just back him up. But
that's fine.
But the Major League Baseball stuff, we're gonna have to jump on it. I think Shane and I can bring some good topics to the table, and I know Herb knows enough about it that he can roll. And you're gonna bring hockey. Just give me about a month's notice, all right? Because
that's how I feel about baseball. So if y'all tell me, hey, I'll look up the stuff for baseball. That's it.
Ain't that bad? Ain't bad as hockey, right?
I probably watch the same amount of both.
You should do great on Wednesday, so I don't know what you're talking about. I remember this, so I don't know. I remember that. But good stuff, man. But thank you guys, everybody's listening and vibing with our show. We have fun like usual. Thanks so much for this, and we hope you enjoy. Continue to please like and share, subscribe, and our YouTube channels and our social media accounts. Follow us back, man. We love to hear more from you guys as diehard sports fans. We're having fun with this, man. But see you again next Thursday. We are out of here. Thanks.